But now, like, my whole family uses it. They're like, they need the laptop. I'm like, but I need it for school. And they're like,
Yeah.
That's just like, Eve, please your laptop. And she's like, Dad's almost gonna get me one. And then I walk into the house. And she's like, Eve, look at my laptop. I'm like,
You sounded just like Ruby when you said that.
well, you know, when I'm in the floor,
Look at this is my cheat sheet.
We're killing it in gym.
Outline?
Logan killed me in gym.
Yeah, that's my intro,
Dude, that's garbage.
my extra, my conclusion. I'm gonna. No, I don't even have my conclusion written.
I have a good conclusion. It's my fourth and fifth paragraph.
Oh my gosh, I love those ones.
Soren,
It's paragraph for football today.
Anna,
Volleyball.
Riley, and your delicious pear juice. Logan,
Is it pear juice or apple juice?
It's both.
Evie,
It's more apple than pear.
Is it good?
Yeah. It's like,
No, we'll do this after.
I'm making Potter.
we did the trial.
Potter. I'm making Fruity Pebble Rice Krispie treats for the thing tonight, and I'm so excited. I've told my mom to get double so I can have some for myself.
and that makes sense.
I know they're so good.
I worked at Fruity Pebbles the last whole week of the fair because I made the cloud rolls with ice cream. I had cotton candy, Superman ice cream, Fruity Pebbles rolled up into sugar free.
That was the cutest sneeze ever. That was so cute.
You did that
Your
again?
little at the end.
Gracie,
Oh.
Kayla.
That's good.
What?
Hey Potter.
Tyler.
Hey Potter.
would be very interested.
It's game day. Game day. Game day.
Potter, did you know I have a selfie
We're
light?
asking Logan.
I have a game day too.
Does it seem like you're
That is blink.
Oh my gosh.
I think that you and I.
Fred. Zach.
Potter was very interested.
Zach. Zach.
He's attendance.
Zach.
He said
Riley.
Brad just for see if you're here.
Riley.
Remain.
Monty.
He was just doing that for Zach.
Oh.
Sarah.
They had celery at youth group last night, and it was like the stringiest celery I ever had. I like choked on it, like the string went down my throat.
Right. Good news.
Whatever. Have a Gilmore. Have a Gilmore.
My favorite one's the gravy.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's go.
Apple.
Oh, that one's
Still where the
just tastes like kid wine.
Oh,
I haven't tried that one.
Probably not. It sounds great.
Yeah, Potter, do you sell chocolate bars yet?
Potter, you're still something.
Not yet. That's not a thing.
You make a huge profit
I
on
need
it.
to buy candy.
He got rid of his van. He can't sell candy.
Stillwater baseball fundraiser.
What about the drawer?
Holy cow, I bet you sell them a lot of candy bars. I thought you just did it for fun. Ah.
What about the Hershey bars? Like, what was that? They bought Hershey bars and they had to sell them.
Does anyone want to
I bet you raised a lot of money with it though. His son. Wait, what's your son's name?
Look him up on Instagram.
I know.
He's up for murder. Just ask him. That's his handle. Now the good news is we will finish the unit today.
Yes.
Because we have a test next
Which
week.
means that
Down
suddenly
for
this
murder
test
anytime.
that all of you looked at as
That's
is
Potter's
suddenly
Down
very,
for murder
very-
anytime. Hit me up.
What?
He's a funny kid.
I'm not gonna request
What's
because
that?
that's weird. But please do.
Well,
Are you still
Wait,
I will.
Why is it? No.
I'm not done making the online objective exam.
Chum is
Why did I
fun.
say exam?
Wait, what?
You're laughing at Noah.
Craigus.
Add him on Snap.
Wait, what?
Noah Potter 2001.
Noah, his son?
Yeah.
What about Ben?
Down for murder anytime. Hit me up.
Find
Chum
his-
is fun.
find his Instagram. Look up Ben Potter. Find his Instagram.
No.
Anyway, I was thinking that Monday could be a day where
Bryn's following
what
him.
questions do you have? Let me help you. And then we could start the writing part Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday,
That's his
Friday.
son.
So in essence, next week is exam week.
The hour 5 team sports like
Wait,
I don't think it is.
There's not the spike ball champion.
They have the most fun gym class at Stillwater. It's called Team Sports. And if all they do is play these team games, like volleyball is one of them. And if you score high enough, you're an All-American. And your name goes on the wall like you're all conference here. Right? And you can take it as many times as you want. So I think this is the third time he's taken that same class.
I'm talking about Ben.
Oh, well, yeah.
That one?
That's where he got it.
At home player. Yeah. He's a spike ball champion.
What's funny?
Oh.
The hour 5 team.
Cloud.
Water.
Anyway, any questions on, God, are you two having enough fun?
They're gonna have your son. They're gonna snap him.
Fortunately, Noah's still afraid of girls. Okay,
Florida life.
won't take too long. We're gonna finish up the unit. We'll be done today
I really
with
like
the
this
unit. You will then be charged with giving back to me what I have given to you. Right? It's about a month where I give, and now next week I take back what I give to you.
you have to read 100 papers. It's like 40 papers.
It's about 42 papers. Yes, that's true.
If you didn't give them, you don't have to read them.
No, I'm going to give them.
He's forced to give them.
And I
He'll lose his
do read those things.
Haha.
I read them from beginning to end.
No,
I
no.
read all of them.
Noah walks in and says, "What you doing, Dad?" Reading papers that I've read from this.
Yes.
Some?
I wrote that down.
It's like when you said this is a number.
I wrote down the plotting.
Plotting,
This is the lettering.
scheming.
Planning.
Are you dead? Are you dead?
It's
Wait.
3 pictures of me.
Wait. Wait, potting? Potting.
I got it wrong last time.
Planning, scheming, planning, no. Plotting. Plotting.
Are you dead?
I'm so
What's
confused.
quaking?
I really-
Okay. We don't really fight battles in here with a few exceptions.
Is this on?
You are looking at the Gettysburg of the American Revolution. The battle, the one. The battle after which the end was inevitable. And it's important for many reasons. It is the Battle of Saratoga, also known as the Battle of Saratoga. But I like Terminator, so that's my Terminator impression. It is the Battle of Saratoga, Schwarzenegger. There's a reason why this is such a big, important battle, and you'll see here that the blue team is over here and the red team is over here, and who cares? And the blue team was headed by some guy named Gates, and the red team was headed by some guy named Burgoyne. Burgoyne was the British general, and I could have spent time in here explaining the British three-pronged strategy of having 3 separate British armies, all in different parts of the colonies. And what they all did was they were all going to drive toward a common point, which happened to be Albany, and divide and conquer the colonies. Meanwhile, the British Navy would blockade the American coast, and the American strategy was to just don't get caught. Just don't get caught. Because they didn't have to win anything. The Americans did not have to win anything. Just don't lose real bad. And just hold on and hold on and hold on. And eventually the British will, right? Don't get caught, George. Don't get caught. If you get caught, it's over. But if you can be out there And you could be the mystery man, if you could be the man behind the curtain, if the British never catch you, then they'll tire. And that is exactly what happened. The reason this is such an important battle is because of what the British had at this fort that the Americans wanted. I'm wondering if any of you could figure it out. What do forts have? Yes, guns. Specifically, big guns. Big old guns. Cannons. Huge cannons that only horses could pull. And that fort, which is in upstate New York, had about 100 of them. That's the equivalent of a nuclear missile today. You have a cannon, you've got an ace. And there are 100 of them there. So while Gates, that's the American, while Gates is going off to get these cannons, George is just, don't get caught. We'll get the cannons, we'll bring the cannons to you, and then suddenly you have 100 nuclear missiles. The equivalent of 100 nuclear missiles. So George is just off hiding, not getting caught, fighting battle after battle, losing battle after battle, by the way, but he never got caught. Meanwhile, Gates, and by the way, Gates' second in command was a guy by the name of Benedict Arnold. And the reason that name rings a bell is he was a traitor. And the reason he changed sides is because Gates was the top dog and Benedict was a shallow man who wanted his name to be the one that people remembered. And then when Gates was the one that was given credit for this and not Benedict, he became jealous, like, no, I want to be the man. And so thought, well, if I change sides, I'll be a big man on campus to the British. I'll turn over to them a fort that I'm in command of. And Benedict was put in command of a place by the name of West Point, which today is the military, one of the 4 military academies. And he turned it over to the British. Like he was the commanding officer, and he turned it over to the British. Anyway, so the reason this is an important battle is because of the 100 cannons. But there's a second reason. This is the battle after which the French said, we are in. We are in. The Americans could actually win. The French were the historic enemy of the British. And in Paris, every day, right next to Louis, is a guy by the name of Benjamin Franklin. And he every day was asking the French, will you help us now? Will you help us now? And the French are like, no, you cannot win.
Says the French.
Yeah.
They can't win.
Well,
That's not
and then this battle happened. And then Ben Franklin said, okay, come on. We can win. We just won this huge fort. We now have cannons. We can win. Help us. And the French said, okay, we're in. So arriving soon is the French Navy. Now, I know what some of you were thinking. When the French offer help, do the Americans say, nah, thanks anyway, we got it. It's like when that guy offers his help on that project, hey, you want to team up? And you look at him like, no, I gotta think. All right, take it. So 2 reasons why it is important. 3 reasons why. The fort itself, the cannons in the fort, and now France is in. True or false? The French wanted to help us because they loved us.
No.
Hated
Hated the British.
Is my friend.
Enemy of my enemy is my friend. If the French were so in love with the reasoning why we went to war against Britain, that's weird because they were a monarchy. They had feudalism. And we're arguing against that very idea becoming independent. It would be sort of weird that the French monarchy would be helping the Americans fight a monarchy. And in hindsight, it really bit them in the butt because the French people, after the French helped the Americans, the French people said, well, what about us? And that started the whole French Revolution. In hindsight, the French were like, damn it. We should not have done that. Okay. A picture of Ben Franklin, who, by the way, died of syphilis. And he was a player. My man Ben got around. So he was sort of a popular figure over there in the French court. He was this wild American. It's sort of the way that you and I might look at someone who's from Australia, might, right? Kind of crazy, he's kind of out there. You're from Australia. That was I mean, he wore a hat made of raccoon, and the French ladies kind of dug him a bit. Anyway, we are now in an alliance with France. Keep note of this, though. This is pretty interesting because in Unit 2, we will explore this supposed alliance. The alliance goes like this. Okay, America, we helped you. And now it's your turn to help us. This is going to happen later on, right around the War of 1812. And the Americans would say, nah.
Why though?
Right? Nah. And of course the French are like, what do you mean nah? We helped lay you. You have to help us. Nah. Nah. Okay. Little known fact. So that's why I'm saying good or bad. Good because when they helped us, awesome. Bad because then later on they asked us to help them. And that's something that we had to think about. Little known fact, how many of you are aware of this? In the middle of the Revolutionary War, the British said, fine, rule yourself. All we want, just give us one thing. Acknowledge that the monarch is your symbolic leader. That's it. Other than that, we're done. We'll let you go. Just acknowledge that the monarch is your symbolic ruler. And we said, never! And how many more people died because of that? Now, does that sound familiar? Have you ever heard another historic event where the group that the U.S. was fighting said, look, can you just give us this one thing and we'll give up? Does that sound familiar? Oh, well, Stay tuned. I'll give you a clue, World War II.
Not a clue or the answer.
That's a clue. World War II. Oh. Well, see if you can figure out what I'm saying. A country says, can we just have this one thing? Just this one thing, and then we're done. Yes.
Isn't it Germany to France?
Neither of those. Neither. Okay, you don't know. That's fine. A couple more countries coming to our aid, not because they loved us. They saw an opportunity, right? The British actually start losing battles. And so here come the more allies jumping in at the end. And I'm wondering if one of you in here could figure out what's going through the Spanish and the Dutch mind. I mean, the war's almost over. And then suddenly they're in.
They can take control.
Yeah, very good. To the victor go the spoils. Maybe we can get in on that peace treaty and we can get something out of it. Similar to World War II. Once again, I'll introduce World War II. When the United States was about to defeat Japan, I mean, literally, like with 2 or 3 months left, the Soviets declared war on Japan. And the U.S. was like, thanks, but we got it. Oh, no, we're very important. And they did get something out of the deal. They got an island. And no, it's that island right there. You see that red little island right there? They were awarded that island. That's the same island that the Russians had lost to the Japanese in the Russo-Japanese War of 1904. And so they declare war on the Japanese right at the end of World War II, win, and then they get that island back. And, the United States was like, we had it without you. Oh, no, we're very important. Okay, same thing here. Did we need Spain and Holland? I don't know. Probably not. But they got in on it, and I'm sure they negotiated. Okay, I saw a couple hands. Go ahead.
Did Benedict Arnold decide to like defect to the British after?
Yes.
He got West Point before from George Washington, and then.
So after this battle, he complains to George Washington because it's politics, right? It's just like anything else. You want to feel important, so he goes to George and he complains. Where's mine? And George's like, all right, take over West Point. Yes, I shall, and then I shall give it to the British.
More like a plot than a scheme.
I don't know. Pretty schemy. Or is it plotty? Okay, anyway. You are now looking at a visual of the final battle. So if this is the Gettysburg, this is the Battle of the Bulge. The last one, the one after which it's over. Right? This is the empty netter. Any hockey players in here? This is the goal that puts us ahead. This is the empty netter. Right? It's over now. Right? They pulled their goalie. We scored on an empty net. Okay. Remember now, who's part of the war now that was not part of the war before? The French. The French. So the French Navy is arriving shortly. They're coming across the Atlantic Ocean. We didn't have a navy. That's not exactly true. We had like 4 boats. One of those boats crossed the Atlantic and attacked the British mainland all by itself. The American in command just decided, I'm going to go attack them. And the rest of the Navy was like, why? No. But back then he couldn't do anything, so he's gone. And he commanded a boat named the Bonhomme Richard. Bonhomme is a British term. It's sort of like saying Mr. You could call me Bonhomme Potter. That would make perfect sense. Bonhomme. So he had a boat called the Bonhomme Richard. And he was raiding British little villages. And the fishermen are like, who is this guy? You know, they got my hay pile. Good, way to go. So the British finally were annoyed with this guy. So they sent a boat after him. And the Bonhomme Richard was a 2-level. Do we know naval vessels back then? Okay, so it had 2 stories of cannons. That's a pretty big boat. The one the British sent after him was a 3-story. That's a big old boat. This is like an aircraft carrier today. And so the British boat sank the American boat. It's sinking, right? The boat is sinking. Now remember, the British had rules. And so the commander of the British boat offered to the Americans, would you like to board? Right? Come on, don't die. And the commander of the Americans said, never! Right? And the British are like, what'd he say? All right, see ya. And at that point, the American commanded the boat that's sinking to charge. Right? So they're charging as they're sinking. And the British, this is true, the British were looking at, what the hell is wrong with this guy? Just die. It managed to reach the British boat before sinking. All the Americans got off, and in hand-to-hand combat took over the British boat. And then sailed back to the colonies. Win, right? They won. Amazing.
That's funny.
That guy is really, look up, if you're bored someday, look up John Paul Jones. He ended up fighting in like some European wars because he was part Russian. It's just fascinating. Anyway, so here comes the French Navy. They're arriving shortly. Meanwhile, because of the cannons that Washington now had, he suddenly started attacking the British. And this is the American army chasing the British army, whose plan is to flee to something called Yorktown, which is in Virginia. When I was your age, I always thought Yorktown was New York, but they called it Yorktown for some reason. No, Yorktown is not New York. Yorktown is Yorktown. It's in Virginia. The plan was to meet there with the British Navy, and then everyone board the British boats, then flee to Canada, regroup, and then reattack. But when they got there to Yorktown, the British Navy was not there. The French Navy was there.
Wait,
You
who
don't hear
was?
this very often. The French Navy defeated the British Navy in a naval battle.
Wait, so they were. So the French were there and the British were going down.
The British
the
were there waiting.
The French beat them
The French arrived, defeated the British Navy
before the Americans.
before the British got there.
But
So
the British
waiting
were.
there were
You
boats.
said the British were
French
already
boats.
there.
They were there waiting. Then the French arrived, dispersed the British Navy. Then the British Army arrives,
Oh.
and there's the French Navy. So you have the French Navy in front of you and the American Army behind you. You're done.
You're trapped.
So surrender. War's over. Sorry, what? A Dunkirk. That's exactly right. Very good. Oh, what did you just do there?
Synthesize.
Very good. Okay. The name of the British commander was a guy by the name of Cornwallis. Once he surrenders, that's 2/3 of the British Army that have now surrendered. Right? The first third was this third for going. He's out. Here's the second third. He's out. There was one British commander left. His name was Howe. But, I mean, that's 1/3. Now, again, here's the amazing thing about these rules. All the British had to do was say, we promise we're done fighting. And they were let go. And they got on British boats and they sailed back to England. Because to the British, when you said something, that's what you did. You were bound to do that. It's hard to imagine that happening today, right? You capture some member of Al Qaeda. Now, do you promise not to crash planes into buildings again? Yes. All right. See you later. That was weird. Okay. We're done. That's it. We will, sorry, one more thing. This is something that confuses people. Let me write this down. That says world's tallest.
In that spot.
Yes, I am. This says I am.
That's just words. That doesn't mean anything.
What created the United States of America?
Words on a document.
That created the United States of America. Some people say, no, the Declaration of Independence did. No, it didn't. Those were words. That's like saying I'm the world's tallest person. Just because some people signed a document that says we are now an independent nation. No, you're not. No one recognized it. Everyone recognized this document. It's a treaty. So in 1976, I was 6 years old. We celebrated the bicentennial, the 200-year anniversary of the United States. But that was wrong. We were not 200 at that time. We were 193. The 200-year anniversary would have been 1983, when the Treaty of Paris, formally creating the United States, was ratified. Little known fact. The Declaration is just a declaration. It's just words that say something. It doesn't make it so. I'm not the world's tallest person. Just because these words say so, it doesn't make it so. This is the legal document. It's called the Treaty of Paris, 1783. Now, there are Kias due today.
Aren't they due right now?
They were due like 50 minutes ago. But lucky for you, I won't be checking yet. But there are porta potties right back there. Nothing else planned for this class?
What about that sheet?
Oh yeah, right. Thank you. Yes, before you walk out the door today, will you please have on a piece of paper, half piece of paper, your contribution to the trial? How did you contribute to the success of your group? All of you, just in case you're wondering how I grade, all of you get full credit, but some of you get more than full credit. You all did great. But, for example, Jack, I'm going to give him more credit. He spoke frequently. He spoke eloquently. Caitlin, awesome. She spoke frequently. She spoke eloquently. Kyler, Awesome. But all of you get full credit. But what I don't know, and I won't know until I read about it, is maybe you did something. Maybe you did something for the success. Maybe you're the man behind the curtain. Maybe you were the one that made the slideshow. Well, I'd like to know that. Right? So I will read how you contributed. And then there's one other part to this. So you also need to identify everybody in your group. Just make a list of everybody that was in your group, names. And then we do the marble trick. Okay? So you're given 100. You're given 100 marbles. Awarding a marble to a member of your group is saying he or she contributed 1/100th of the total team effort. Award the marbles.
What do you mean? I don't get it.
Well, if we were in a group of 2 and I did everything, I would get 100 marbles. You would get 0. But if we did it equally, it'd be 50-50.
Can we just do?
If there was a group of 10 and everyone did an equal amount, we'd each get 10.
Do we actually have to do 100?
So we're giving them a percent out of 100?
Yes, you're giving them, that's an easier way of saying it. Just give them a percentage.
Out of
Everybody in your group, how much did everybody, if I read,
Just
let's
a
say that
rating.
we're in a group of 3 right here, and I award her 60 marbles, and she awards her 70 marbles, the teacher now know Maddie did most of the work, because everyone in the group gave her credit. Again, don't worry. Let's say everybody in your group gives you 0 marbles, you didn't do a thing. I'm giving you full credit. Everyone gets full credit. But I will be awarding more credit. I can't say extra credit.
Me and Danica did like the same.
When you say extra.
Who's on our group?
I didn't say extra credit because I
I have
can't.
Riley, Bryn, Maddie Below, Allison, Spencer, Bryce, and me.
I have something in my eye.
Was Madison Beardling in our group?
Wow, you might put a typo on the keyboard.
Should I have everyone?
Columbus.
Was Eve in our group?
Jet, I have the list.
Were you in our group?
No. Jet, Liv, Madison, Jody, Logan,
Spencer.
Stevie, Michaela, Danica,
Ellie,
Gracie.
Dopey.
Yes, that's 7.
Okay.
Kayla. I forgot
Ooh.
Kayla.
Potter? It's still going.
Oh, jeez.
That's all, folks.
Okay. I don't, how many people have in my group? So like, should I just make it a percent on a percent?
Can I just put like a
1, 2,
dot?
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
7?
It has to be a paragraph long.
You should rate yourself too. Include yourself.
How many people were in our group?
All right. So if you want to, all right, give everybody a 1, and then now start awarding
7.
more to other
Does
people.
it have to all add up?
Should it doesn't have
Just a rating on a
just a
scale.
rating.
Okay, a rate. So you could
Another way to do it is what Eve just thought of.
1 to 10.
Give everybody a scale of 1 to 10. Fine. 10 means they led the group. They were awesome. 1 means they didn't do a thing. Give everybody, and by the way, I'm the only one who will look at this. I will not run over to your partner and say, look what your partner gave you.
I want you to do that though.
We both hate her. I'm the only one who will see it.
Are you on the bathroom?
Yeah.
Because me and Rose say it.